The stars looked different from the observation deck of the Arbiter of Knowledge. Chief Science Officer Talon stood with his thin, crystal arms behind his back. Earth grew larger in the view screen. The blue planet was small but held great interest. For the Telosian Empire. "Begin scanning procedures," Talon ordered. His voice rang like glass chimes in the cool air. His crew moved quickly. They were all made of the same crystal material. Light passed through their bodies, creating rainbow patterns on the ship walls. The Telosians had perfected their genetics, over thousands of years. They believed their crystalline forms represented biological perfection. "Earth has over 8 billion humans," reported Sora, the genetics officer. Her clear body glowed softly as she worked at her station. "Their technology is primitive. They have not yet achieved faster than light travel. Their genetics show many flaws." Talon nodded, his face showing no emotion. "Perfect. The Council will be pleased. This species matches all requirements for assimilation." The Telosian Empire had grown powerful by finding young species across the galaxy. They would study these species, identify genetic problems, then offer to fix them. Most planets accepted this help with gratitude. None realized the fix made them dependent on Telosian technology forever. "Send collection drones," ordered Talon. "I want samples from all human populations." Dr. Minnie Park worked late in her lab at Seoul National University. The clock showed midnight, but she ignored it. Her research was too important. For 3 years, she had studied what many called junk DNA, parts of human genetic code that seemed to have no purpose. "It makes no sense," she muttered to herself. She pushed her glasses back up her nose and stared at the computer screen. Why would we keep so much useless code? Evolution removes things that don't help survival. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from her friend, Dr. Hyun. "Are you still at the lab? It's midnight. Go home." Min-hee smiled but didn't reply. She couldn't explain her feelings to friends. Something about these useless parts of human DNA called to her. They seemed to be waiting for something, sleeping, not dead. Unknown to her, a small drone hovered outside her window. It was perfectly invisible to human eyes. It recorded her work and took samples of her hair and skin cells from her lab coat. Then it moved on to collect more samples from other buildings. 2 days later, Sora stood before Talon with excitement in her glowing eyes. "Sir, I've completed the first analysis of human DNA," she said. "It's very strange. Most species have 5–10% unused genetic material. Humans have almost 98% non-coding DNA." Talon tilted his head. "That is unusual. What purpose does this extra material serve?" "None that I can find," Sora replied. "It appears to be leftover code from their evolution. It's like their DNA is full of old, broken programs that no longer run." Talon moved to the main screen. "Show me the human genome." The screen filled with the familiar pattern of DNA. The double helix structure was common across most carbon-based life, but the human version had strange sections that seemed different. "Look, here," Sora pointed. "These sections have unusual protection mechanisms. Most non-coding DNA mutates randomly over time. These sections are preserved almost perfectly across all human populations." "Could it be artificial?" Talon asked. The thought troubled him. Only advanced civilizations could engineer genetics. Humans were supposed to be primitive. "No," Sora shook her head. "The integration is too perfect. Whatever this is, it evolved naturally, but I can't determine its purpose." Talon made a decision. "Prepare the diplomatic package. We will offer genetic improvement as usual. Perhaps the correction process will give us answers." Dr. Min-hee Park was eating lunch in the university cafeteria when the news broke. Every screen in the room suddenly showed the same image, a strange crystal ship hovering over New York City. "We come in peace," announced a voice in perfect Korean, even though the broadcast originated in America. "We are the Telosian Empire, and we bring gifts of friendship and advancement." The cafeteria erupted in chaos. Students shouted and pointed at the screens. Some cried, others filmed with their phones. Min-hee sat frozen, her lunch forgotten. The crystal beings on screen were unlike anything from Earth. Light passed through their bodies. They had no blood, no organs like humans, yet they moved and spoke like living things. After studying your species, the alien continued, we have identified serious flaws in human genetics. These flaws cause disease, aging, and death. We offer to correct these problems as a gesture of goodwill. Minhee's phone rang. It was her department head, Professor Kang. Dr. Park, he said, his voice shaking. The government is calling emergency meetings with genetic specialists. They want you to join the response team immediately. Me? Minhee asked, surprised. Why me? Your research on non-coding DNA regions, he explained. The aliens mentioned something similar in their private communications with world leaders. A car is already on its way to pick you up. 3 hours later, Minhee sat in a secure underground facility with 20 other scientists from around Korea. Military officers and government officials filled the room. Everyone looked scared. Defense Minister Lee stood at the front, his face grave. The aliens call themselves Telosians. They have ships positioned over major cities worldwide. They claim to come in peace, but we have reason for caution. He played a video showing the crystal aliens in their ship. Their biology is entirely different from Earth life. They have no DNA as we understand it. Yet somehow, they claim to be experts on fixing our genetics. General Do-hyun stepped forward. Intelligence agencies worldwide are sharing information. 17 other alien species are part of this Telosian empire. All have accepted genetic modifications. Dr. Hyun raised his hand. Have we analyzed what changes they want to make to our DNA? Yes, replied Minister Lee. They propose removing what they call non-functioning genetic material, the very areas Dr. Park here has been studying. All? Eyes turned to Minhee. She felt her face grow hot. Dr. Park, said General Do-hyun, please tell us about your research. Minhee stood on shaky legs. She had never spoken to such important people before, but her research suddenly seemed very important. Most of our DNA doesn't code for proteins, she began. Scientists used to call it junk DNA because we didn't know what it did. But my research shows these regions aren't junk. They're protected by special mechanisms that prevent mutations. She pulled up images on the main screen. These regions have stayed almost unchanged for thousands of years across all human populations. Evolution preserves things that matter. These sections matter, but we don't know why. Minister Lee looked troubled. And the Telosians want to remove exactly these parts? Yes, Minhee nodded. Their gift would delete nearly 98% of our genetic code. The room fell silent as everyone understood the implications. Could these sections be weapons of some kind? Asked General Do-hyun. Something that might activate against the Telosians? I don't know, Minhee admitted. But I do know one thing. You don't preserve something for thousands of generations unless it's very important. In orbit above Earth, Talon watched the humans scramble to respond. Everything was proceeding according to plan. Soon, humans would join the Empire like all the others. But deep in the ship's lab, Sora made a discovery that would change everything. As she prepared the correction process, a simulation showed something unexpected. The dormant human DNA wasn't dormant at all. It was waiting. Sora stared at her screen in disbelief. The simulation had finished running and the results made no sense. She ran it again, changing the parameters slightly. The outcome remained the same. This is impossible, she whispered to herself. Her crystalline fingers tapped rapidly on the control panel. The human DNA sections that appeared dormant weren't inactive at all. They contained complex systems unlike anything in the Telosian genetic database. These systems were carefully folded and locked, waiting for a specific trigger to activate. Sora hesitated before calling Talon. This discovery could change everything. She needed to be certain. After running 3 more simulations, she finally pressed the communication button. Chief Science Officer, I need you in the genetics lab immediately. When Talon arrived, Sora displayed her findings on the main screen. The non-coding regions of human DNA contain sophisticated systems, she explained. They appear designed to remain dormant until activated by specific triggers. Talon studied the display. What kind of systems? Defensive mainly, Sora replied. Some would enhance their immune response, others would strengthen cellular repair. But this section here, she pointed to a particularly complex region. This appears similar to biological weapons developed during the SETI conflict. Talon's crystalline body stiffened. Bioweapons in a primitive species? Impossible. The systems are undeniably there, Sora insisted, and they're perfectly integrated into their genome. These aren't random mutations. They appear deliberately placed. By whom? Talon demanded. Sora hesitated. I don't know. But if humans activated these systems, they would become much more difficult to control. Talon paced the lab, light refracting through his body. The correction process will remove these systems. Proceed as planned. But sir, Sora objected, shouldn't we study them first? This could be important to the Council. The Council sent us to assimilate humans, not study them, Talon snapped. These dormant systems change nothing. Begin the diplomatic phase. Dr. Min-hee Park barely slept for 3 days. The government had assembled a team of Korea's top scientists to study the Talosian genetic proposal. They worked in a secure underground facility in Seoul surrounded by military guards. Their offer makes no sense, argued Dr. Hyun. He pointed to diagrams on the wall screen. They want to remove the exact sections we've been studying, the preserved non-coding regions. Min-hee nodded. And replace them with their own genetic material that requires regular updates from Talosian technology. Defense Minister Lee rubbed his tired eyes. So they're not helping us. They're making us dependent on them. It's like selling someone a printer, Min-hee explained. But they must buy new ink cartridges forever. Except this is our DNA, not a printer. The door opened and General Do-hyun entered with a young soldier. Dr. Park, this is Lieutenant Junho. He has important information. Lieutenant Junho bowed nervously. 2 hours ago, our intelligence agents intercepted a transmission from the Talosian ship. Our best translators worked on it. He handed Min-hee a tablet. They believe you should see this. Min-hee read the screen and gasped. They found something in our DNA, defensive systems that could activate. Dr. Hyun looked over her shoulder. Defensive systems? What does that mean? I don't know. Min-hee frowned. But it explains why these DNA sections are so carefully preserved. They must do something important. General Do-hyun crossed his arms. If these aliens found weapons in our DNA, can we use them? Maybe, Min-hee said slowly. But we need to figure out how to turn them on. On the diplomatic deck of the Arbiter of Knowledge, Talon met with Earth's representatives. The humans looked small and fragile compared to his towering crystalline form. Your proposal needs more study, said the United Nations Secretary General. We cannot accept genetic modifications without understanding all consequences. Talon's voice chimed with artificial patience. Your concerns are understandable but unnecessary. 17 species have accepted our help. All thrive under Talosian guidance. Admiral Jin-soo of South Korea spoke up. We simply request more time for research. 6 months should be sufficient. 6 months is too long, Talon replied. The correction process must begin within 30 days. This is not negotiable. As the humans conferred among themselves, Talon received an urgent message from Sora. The human called Min-hee Park had made progress understanding the dormant systems. This was concerning. Talon signaled to his security team. It was time for the contingency plan. Minnie worked late in the lab, alone except for the guard outside her door. Her eyes burned from staring at screens all day. But she was making progress. The trigger mechanism, she muttered. It has to be here somewhere. The dormant systems in human DNA were locked by complex molecular structures. They needed a specific key to unlock, perhaps a chemical or an energy pattern. If she could find that key, humans might access these hidden abilities. Her computer beeped with an incoming message. It was from Sora, the Talosian scientist. Min-hee hesitated before opening it. Human Scientist Park. I must speak with you privately. The correction process is not what it seems. Meet me at coordinates attached. Come alone. Min-hee frowned. This could be a trap. But if there was any chance to learn more about these dormant systems, she had to take it. She copied the data to a secure drive, then left her office. The guard nodded as she passed. Working late again, Dr. Park? Just going for coffee, she lied. I'll be back soon. Instead of the cafeteria, she took the elevator to the parking garage. A car waited with Lieutenant Junho behind the wheel. General Do-hyun sent me, he explained. We intercepted your message from the Telosian. It's almost certainly a trap, but we need to know what they want. They drove to an empty park outside the city. The meeting place was a small lake surrounded by trees. No one was visible. Stay in the car, Min-hee told Junho. If I'm not back in 20 minutes, leave without me. She walked to the lake's edge. The night was quiet except for chirping insects. Then a shimmer of light appeared over the water. A crystalline figure materialized, smaller than other Telosians she had seen, with a gentler glow. Dr. Park, said Sora. Thank you for coming. Why did you ask to meet me? Min-hee demanded. Because Talon plans to eliminate you, Sora replied. You've discovered too much about the dormant systems in your DNA. Min-hee tensed. What are these systems? Why do we have them? I don't know why, Sora admitted. But I know what they do. They're adaptation mechanisms far beyond anything we've seen before. If activated, they would make humans nearly impossible to control. How do we activate them? Sora hesitated. The trigger is a specific electromagnetic frequency. The Telosians plan to use a different frequency during the diplomatic meeting tomorrow, one that will disable your leaders temporarily. In the distance, engines roared. Lights appeared in the sky. Telosian security craft. They've discovered. I'm gone, Sora said urgently. Take this. She handed Min-hee a small crystal device. It contains the activation frequency. Use it only as a last resort. Once started, the process cannot be stopped. Before Min-hee could respond, Sora vanished. Seconds later, Lieutenant Junho ran from the car. We need to leave now, he shouted, grabbing Min-hee's arm. Telosian ships are coming. They raced back to the car as bright lights swept the park. As they sped away, Min-hee clutched the crystal device. She had just received the key to humanity's hidden arsenal, but using it would change humans forever. Back. On the Arbiter of Knowledge, Talon confronted Sora. You met with the human scientist, he said coldly. Why? Sora stood tall despite her fear. The Council must know the truth about humans. Their dormant systems match progenitor patterns. Talon went completely still. Impossible. The progenitors disappeared billions of years ago. The evidence is in human DNA, Sora insisted. We cannot proceed with assimilation until the Council evaluates this discovery. The Council will never know, Talon replied. The mission will continue as planned. Tomorrow, Earth joins the Empire. As Sora was taken away by security, she knew she had made the right choice. The Telosians believed they were the most advanced species in the galaxy. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The next morning, world leaders gathered in Seoul for emergency talks with the Telosians. The meeting hall was heavily guarded. Dr. Min-hee Park sat with the scientific team, the crystal device from Sora hidden in her pocket. What did General Do-hyun say about your meeting with the Telosian scientist? Dr. Hyun whispered. He thinks it might be a trap, Min-hee replied quietly. But the device seems real. It contains data on electromagnetic frequencies that could activate our dormant DNA. Dr. Hyun looked worried. Should we use it? Only if we have no choice, said Min-hee. We don't know what these systems will do to us. They might help, or they might harm. The room fell silent as Talon entered with his delegation. The Telosian leader towered over the humans, his crystal body casting rainbow patterns across the walls. Today marks a historic moment, Talon announced. Earth will join the Telosian Empire as our 18th protectorate. The correction process will begin immediately. Admiral Jinsu stood up. We have not agreed to this. We still need time to study your proposal. Your concerns are noted, said Talon coldly. But the decision has been made. Resistance would be unwise. On screens around the room, live feeds showed Talosian ships appearing over major cities worldwide. They had been invisible before, but now revealed themselves. There were hundreds. Defense Minister Lee received an urgent message on his tablet. "They're deploying ground forces," he whispered to Minhee. "This isn't diplomacy, it's invasion." Admiral Jinsu confronted Talon. "You claim to come in peace, yet you threaten us with your ships. This is not how friends act." "The Talosian Empire does not seek friendship," Talon replied. "We seek efficiency. Your species will serve the Empire with or without your consent." As tensions rose, Minhee noticed a small device in Talon's hand. It glowed with increasing brightness. "Look out," she shouted, remembering Sora's warning. "They're going to—" A pulse of energy swept through the room. The humans closest to Talon collapsed instantly. Others staggered, grabbing their heads in pain. Admiral Jinsu fell to his knees, fighting to remain conscious. Minhee felt burning pain spread through her body. Her vision blurred. With shaking hands, she pulled Sora's crystal from her pocket. "What are you doing?" Dr. Hyun gasped beside her, barely conscious. "Fighting back," Minhee answered. She pressed the activation button on the crystal. Nothing happened for a moment. Then a different pulse swept through the room, a precise frequency that resonated with human DNA. The dormant sections began to unlock. Talon noticed too late. "Stop her," he commanded his guards. But before they could reach Minhee, the process had begun. The pain in Minhee's body changed. It no longer felt like damage. It felt like growth. Heat flowed through her veins. Her vision, instead of darkening, became sharper. She could suddenly see details she had never noticed before. The individual crystal structures in Talon's body, the electromagnetic fields around the Talosian devices. Around the room, other humans experienced similar changes. Admiral Jinsu rose to his feet, his eyes showing newfound clarity. Defense Minister Lee stood straighter, looking 20 years younger. Talon backed away. "What have you done?" he demanded. Minhee smiled. "We activated what you were trying to remove, our hidden weapons." The changes weren't just physical. Minhee felt her mind expanding. Connections formed between thoughts. Problems that seemed complex now appeared simple. She looked at the Talosian technology and suddenly understood how it worked. "Get these humans to the ships," Talon ordered his guards. "The correction process must be accelerated." But when the Talosian guards approached, Admiral Jinsu moved with impossible speed. He knocked 2 guards down before they could react. Other humans showed similar abilities, enhanced strength, speed, and reflexes. "Take their weapons," Admiral Jinsu commanded. Korean security forces, also experiencing the awakening, quickly overpowered the Talosian guards. Talon backed toward the exit. "This changes nothing. Our ships control your skies. Your cities are surrounded. But you've lost your advantage," Minhee replied. She stepped forward, examining a captured Talosian weapon. In seconds, she understood its operating principles. "Your mistake was giving us time to learn about you. Now we know your weaknesses." Around the world, other humans experienced the awakening. The frequency from Minhee's device had traveled through global communication networks, reaching billions. Not everyone changed in the same way. Some gained physical abilities, strength, speed, or endurance. Others developed mental enhancements, faster thinking, perfect memory, or intuitive understanding of technology. In New York, scientists suddenly understood Talosian ship engines. In Tokyo, doctors developed cures for diseases overnight. In London, military officers devised strategies to counter the invasion. The dormant systems in human DNA had activated, but not as weapons of destruction. They were weapons of adaptation, tools for survival against advanced threats. In the arbiter of knowledge orbiting Earth, Sora watched the unfolding situation with mixed feelings. She had helped the humans activate their dormant systems, betraying her own kind. But something about the humans felt familiar, like a long-forgotten memory. A guard entered her holding cell. "The commander wants to see you." In the command center, screens showed chaos across Earth. Humans were fighting back against Telosian ground forces, using captured technology with surprising skill. "You caused this," Talon accused Sora. "You gave them the activation frequency." "I gave them a chance," Sora replied. "The Council should have been informed about their connection to the progenitors." "What proof do you have of this connection?" demanded Talon. Sora gestured to the screens. "Look at them. No species adapts that quickly without progenitor genetics. The patterns are unmistakable." Talon turned to his tactical officer. "Prepare the pulse cannons. Target major population centers." "Sir," the officer objected. "That would kill millions. The Council forbids mass extermination." "This is a special case," Talon insisted. "These humans are too dangerous to be allowed advancement. The Council will understand once they see the data." Back in Seoul, Minhee worked quickly with her team. Their enhanced minds allowed them to reverse engineer Telosian technology in hours instead of years. "Their communication systems are vulnerable," she explained to Admiral Jinsu. "They use quantum entanglement, but it requires precise alignments. If we disrupt those alignments, we can isolate their ships from each other," the Admiral finished. "Prevent them from coordinating attacks." Dr. Hyun entered with new findings. "We've analyzed our activated DNA. These systems weren't designed to fight Telosians specifically. They're general-purpose adaptation mechanisms. But who put them there?" asked Defense Minister Lee. "Who gave us these abilities?" "The progenitors," Minhee answered, the knowledge suddenly clear in her mind. "An ancient species that seeded life throughout the galaxy. Somehow we're connected to them." Outside, the sky darkened as Telosian ships moved into attack positions. "They're preparing to fire on the city," Admiral Jinsu announced. "We need more time." Minhee looked at the captured Telosian devices they had studied. An idea formed in her enhanced mind. "I think I know their weakness," she said. "Their crystalline bodies maintain cohesion through specific frequency resonance. If we can disrupt that resonance." "What do you need?" asked the Admiral. Minhee smiled. "Every speaker, broadcast tower, and electronic device we can control. We're going to play them a song they won't forget." As Telosian ships prepared to attack, humanity prepared its first counteroffensive. The dormant weapons in their DNA had awakened, and the galaxy would never be the same. Telosian ships filled the skies above Earth's major cities. Their crystal hulls gleamed in the sunlight as they positioned for attack. Inside the Seoul Command Center, humans worked with newfound speed and clarity. The awakened DNA had changed them in ways they were still discovering. Minhee connected the final wires to a makeshift device built from Telosian technology and human electronics. Around her, military officers and scientists prepared for battle. "The frequency disruptor is ready," she announced. "It should interfere with the crystalline structure of Telosian bodies and technology." Admiral Jinsu nodded. "How far will it reach?" "With our current power, maybe 1 kilometer," Minhee answered. "But if we use broadcasting towers and satellites, we can cover the entire planet." Lieutenant Junho rushed into the room. "The Telosians have landed troops in the city center. They're taking human prisoners." Admiral Jinsu turned to his officers. "Prepare the test run. We'll target the ground forces first." Minhee activated the device. It hummed softly, sending invisible waves through the air. On screens around the room, they watched soldiers equipped with special headsets approach the Telosian landing party. "Headsets will protect our people from the frequency," Minhee explained. "But the Telosians will feel the full effect." The effect was immediate and dramatic. As the frequency waves reached them, the Telosian soldiers stumbled. Their crystal bodies vibrated unnaturally. Some fell to their knees while others retreated toward their ships. "It's working!" Dr. Hyun exclaimed. Admiral Jinsu wasted no time. "Upload the frequency data to all military units. Get the pattern to our satellites and broadcasting networks. We need global coverage now." In the Arbiter of Knowledge, Talon received alarming reports from ground forces. "The humans are using some kind of sonic weapon against our troops," reported his security chief. It disrupts our molecular cohesion. Impossible, Talon snapped. How could they develop such technology so quickly? Sora, still under guard, spoke up. It's the awakened DNA. They're adapting to fight us specifically. Talon glared at her. You knew this would happen. I suspected, Sora admitted. The dormant systems showed signs of advanced adaptation capabilities, but I never imagined they would understand our weaknesses so quickly. Talon turned to his weapons officer. Begin the bombardment. Target their military installations first, then population centers. The weapons officer hesitated. Sir, this goes against council protocols. We should request guidance before. I am in command here, Talon shouted. The humans are too dangerous. Execute my orders. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. The main screen showed a wave of energy spreading across Earth's surface. The disruption frequency, boosted by thousands of transmitters worldwide. It's reaching orbit, warned the tactical officer. Our hull integrity is starting to fluctuate. Talon felt it too, a vibration in his crystalline form that shouldn't be possible. Tiny cracks began to appear in his outer layer. Raise shields. Move the fleet outside the frequency range. But the signal followed them, carried by Earth's satellite network into higher orbits. Many smaller Telosian vessels began breaking apart, their crystal structures unable to withstand the resonance. Around the world, humans fought back against their would-be conquerors. Each person's awakened abilities were slightly different, but all worked together with unexpected coordination. In Berlin, a young engineer named Hanna felt knowledge flow into her mind as she studied captured Telosian technology. Within hours, she had built devices that could jam their communications. In Rio de Janeiro, a doctor named Miguel discovered he could see cellular structures with his naked eye. He quickly developed treatments for those injured in the initial attacks. In Nairobi, a teacher named Amara found she could process information at incredible speeds. She coordinated defense efforts across multiple countries, bringing order to chaos. The dormant DNA had given humanity tools perfectly suited to resist the invasion. Not just physical weapons, but improvements to their minds, bodies, and ability to work together. Minhee and her team left the safety of the command center to test a new device. This one was smaller than the first, handheld, with a focused beam. If this works, she told Admiral Jinsu, we can target individual Telosian ships with a much stronger frequency. They set up on a rooftop with a clear view of a Telosian vessel hovering over the city center. The ship had powerful shields, but Minhee believed her device could penetrate them. The key is to match the exact resonance frequency of their crystal structure, she explained. Each ship has a slightly different pattern. Dr. Hyun analyzed the ship with a scanner. I'm reading the pattern now, adjusting our device to match. They fired the device. A narrow beam of invisible energy struck the Telosian ship. At first, nothing happened. Then tiny fractures appeared in its hull, spreading like cracks in ice. It's working, Minhee exclaimed. The ship's engines flared as it tried to escape, but the damage was too severe. With a sound like breaking glass, the vessel shattered into thousands of crystal fragments that rained down harmlessly, dissolving before they reached the ground. Send this design to manufacturing centers worldwide, Admiral Jinsu ordered. We need thousands of these devices immediately. In orbit, Talon's flagship suffered increasing damage. The disruption frequency penetrated their strongest shields, attacking the very structure of their crystal technology. We must retreat, urged his second-in-command. The fleet is falling apart. We've lost contact with 40% of our ships. Talon couldn't believe what was happening. In all of Telosian history, no species had ever resisted assimilation so effectively. These humans had gone from primitive to threatening in mere days. Send a message to the council, he finally ordered. Request reinforcements. The full might of the Empire must be brought against this world. But when they tried to send the message, they discovered human forces had disabled their long-range communications. The quantum entanglement network that connected them to the Empire had been disrupted. They've isolated us, Sora said, watching from the side. Just as I warned they might, Talon rounded on her. You helped them. You gave them the activation frequency. I gave them a chance to survive, Sora replied. And now I believe we need to listen to them, not fight them. They could have destroyed this ship, but they haven't. They're showing restraint. As if in response to her words, a communication came from Earth, a direct message from Admiral Jinsu to the Telosian flagship. Attention, Telosian Command. Your invasion has failed. Your ground forces are captured and your fleet is disabled. We offer you one chance to end this conflict. Withdraw your remaining ships and return to your empire with a message. Earth is not for taking. Talon stared at the message in disbelief. Then another alarm sounded. More Telosian ships were breaking apart under the humans' frequency weapons. With no choice left, Talon gave the order he never thought he would give. Begin evacuation procedures, we're retreating. As surviving Telosian ships pulled away from Earth, Sora looked down at the blue planet with new respect. The humans had done the impossible. They had driven back the most powerful empire in the galaxy, and they were just beginning to discover their true potential. 1 month after the Telosian retreat, Earth was a changed world. Cities damaged in the brief war were being rebuilt. Captured Telosian technology was studied in research centers worldwide, and humans themselves had changed in ways that were still being understood. Dr. Min-hee Park stood in her new laboratory in Seoul. The government had given her a large facility to study the awakened DNA and its effects. On screens around the room, data showed the various ways humans had changed. The dormant systems affect different people in different ways, she explained to Admiral Jinsu. Some gained physical enhancements, others developed mental abilities, but everyone changed somehow. Are the changes permanent? Asked the Admiral. Yes. Min-hee nodded. Once activated, these systems can't be turned off, and they seem to be evolving further. The door opened and Lieutenant Junho entered with a special visitor, Sora, the Telosian scientist who had helped humanity. When most Telosians retreated, she had asked to stay on Earth. I've completed my analysis of your genetic history, Sora announced. Her crystal body glowed softly in the laboratory light. The results are remarkable. She connected to the main screen, showing a complex family tree of species across the galaxy. Billions of years ago, the progenitors seeded life throughout the galaxy, Sora explained. They were the first advanced civilization. When they faced extinction, they preserved their legacy in various ways. And we're part of that legacy? Asked Min-hee. More than part, Sora replied. You are their direct descendants. Humans carry more progenitor DNA than any species we've discovered. Admiral Jinsu frowned. If we're so special, why didn't we know? Why were these systems dormant? Protection, Sora said simply. The progenitors had enemies. They hid their children, you, on a distant planet. They designed your DNA to develop slowly, with the advanced systems locked until needed. Like a time capsule, Min-hee said, understanding dawning on her face, or parents leaving gifts for children to find when they're old enough. Exactly, Sora agreed. The systems would only activate when humans faced an advanced threat like the Telosians. But why didn't the Telosian Empire know about this connection? Asked Lieutenant Junho. Sora's crystal form dimmed slightly, the Telosian equivalent of a sad expression. Because the Empire has been eliminating any species showing signs of progenitor genetics. The Council fears their return. Silence fell over the room as everyone absorbed this information. So the flaws they wanted to fix were actually our greatest strength, Min-hee said eventually. The parts that make us who we truly are. Across the planet, humanity adjusted to its new reality. The changes weren't just biological. Society itself was transforming as people used their enhanced abilities to solve long-standing problems. In Africa, awakened engineers developed water purification systems that worked without electricity. In South America, enhanced agricultural scientists created crops that could grow in changing climates. In Europe, medical researchers cured diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries. The old divisions between nations began to fade as people recognized their common heritage. A new global council formed to guide humanity's development and prepare for the future, because everyone knew the Telosians would return, not alone, but with the full might of their empire. 3 months after the Battle of Earth, sensors detected a new fleet entering the solar system. These ships were different from the Telosian vessels, larger with designs suggesting multiple alien species worked together. Earth's newly built defense network went on high alert. Ships constructed using reverse-engineered Telosian technology moved to defensive positions around the planet. In Seoul, the Emergency Council gathered. Admiral Jinsu, now Earth Defense Commander, addressed the group. "A large fleet has entered our system. They've made no aggressive moves yet. They're requesting to open communications." Min-hee, who headed the scientific division, nodded. "Let's hear what they have to say." The main screen lit up with an image that made Sora gasp. The alien was crystalline like the Telosians, but larger, with a more complex structure. Behind it stood representatives of at least a dozen different species. "People of Earth," the alien began. "I am High Counselor Zenith of the Galactic Alliance. We come in peace and recognition." Admiral Jinsu stepped forward. "Our previous visitors claimed to come in peace as well. The Telosian Empire does not speak for the entire galaxy," Zenith replied. "They are one faction among many. When we learned of their attack on your world and your successful defense, we came immediately." "How did you learn about us?" asked Min-hee. "From Talon," Zenith answered. "When his remaining ships reached Telosian space, he was required to report his failure. The council was disturbed by what they heard." Sora moved forward. "High Counselor, these humans carry progenitor genetics. The dormant systems have awakened." Murmurs spread among the aliens on screen. Zenith's crystal form brightened with what seemed like surprise. "We suspected as much," he said finally. "No other species could have defeated a Telosian fleet so quickly. The Council has long searched for the progenitors' true heirs." "Why?" asked Admiral Jinsu. "Because the galaxy needs them," Zenith replied. "The knowledge and wisdom of the progenitors might help solve conflicts that have raged for millennia, and because a great threat approaches from beyond our galaxy, one the progenitors foresaw." Min-hee exchanged glances with her colleagues. "What kind of threat?" "We call them the Void," said Zenith. "They consume all life they encounter. The progenitors fought them once before and created special weapons to defeat them. Weapons hidden in our DNA," Min-hee said quietly. Zenith nodded. "We believe so. The Telosians sought to remove these weapons, not understanding their purpose. They fear anything they cannot control." Admiral Jinsu straightened his shoulders. "What does the Galactic Alliance want from us?" "Not submission," Zenith assured him. "Partnership, exchange of knowledge, and eventually, your help against the coming darkness." Later that day, Min-hee sat alone in her laboratory, thinking about everything she had learned. On her screen was an ancient human painting showing beings of light coming from the sky. "They weren't gods," she murmured. "They were our ancestors." The door opened as Sora entered. "Your people are taking this revelation remarkably well." Minnie smiled. "Humans have always wondered if we were alone in the universe. Finding out we're part of something bigger is actually comforting." "The Council will want to study your awakening," Sora said. "No other progenitor descendants have activated their dormant systems so completely." "Because no other descendants were pushed to the brink of destruction," Min-hee replied. "The Telosians did us a favor in a way. They forced us to become what we were always meant to be." Through the window they could see new ships under construction, human designs incorporating advanced technology, the first vessels that would take humanity to the stars. "We have much to learn," Min-hee admitted. "But we also have something to teach the galaxy." "What is that?" asked Sora. Min-hee thought about how humans had united against the Telosian threat, how they had shown restraint in victory, and how they were already using their new abilities to help each other. "That flaws aren't always weaknesses," she answered. "Sometimes they're just parts of ourselves we haven't understood yet, and sometimes what others see as broken is actually what makes us strong." As night fell over Seoul, lights from the new shipyards illuminated the sky. Humanity had survived its first contact with alien life. They had discovered their true heritage, and now they prepared to take their place among the stars, not as conquerors or subjects, but as the returned children of the progenitors. They had been searched for flaws, but had revealed their greatest strengths instead. The end.